Our parents abandoned us. Now I'm scared to raise my little sister alone.
Oh, that is a lot, OP.
Our parents, in their 50s, divorced 5 years ago. And after that, we were basically passed around between them, as neither of them were keen to have us around, especially since they both remarried soon and had their new families and new stepkids to worry about. By the way, this comes from user Shirksa. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Keon.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. When I, 21 male, became 18, my sister was 8, now 11 female, they told me that I need to take care of her all by myself now. In reality, I always had taken care of her since they never spent time with her. It was clear that they didn't want to be involved anymore. They transferred her full custody to me and gave us money every month so we wouldn't bother them. So that's how it's been for the past 3 years. I live with my sister and I'm doing my best to make sure she has a stable home, gets enough attention, feels loved, and is growing up as well, and has everything she needs. Unlike them, I don't see her as a burden, and I really love her and want the best for her. In these past 3 years, our parents haven't made any real efforts to even bother checking up on her. The plan was that I collect checks from them every month, but that's the end of their involvement in our lives. In the first few months, I used to take her with me when I collected the checks, but they both were so indifferent and unfriendly towards us that it always made her sad. The last time I took her with me, it was right before her birthday, and I was planning a small party for her with her friends, and she was very excited. She asked our mom to come and received a no answer. She didn't even bother getting her a gift. She only wrote an extra $100 on the check and told me to get a gift for her on her behalf. My sister started crying as soon as we left. The next day, the same thing happened when we went to my father's place, and he didn't even say that. He just declined to come. I was angry at them. That was the last time she saw them. They never came around to see her. I only see them when I go to get the checks, and they don't even invite me in anymore. They have it ready when I arrive, and they just hand it over and say goodbye. My sister has been dealing with abandonment issues as a result. She, rightfully, feels that our parents traded her for their new partners and kids, and she's afraid that the same thing might happen to her with me, that I might go off with some other people and leave her alone. I always reassure her that this will never happen, and I'm always there for her, that we will live together until she completely grows up, and I'm going to take care of her. But I don't think this has completely taken away her fears. What should I do to help her? I want her to feel safe and loved and stable without any fear of losing me. And we have some comments.
If there's a way that you guys have enough money or can get into some sort of program for it or something for a therapist of some kind to help with the abandonment stuff, and also just help you with learning how to raise a kid that you shouldn't have to be raising.
Yeah, this is the fact that both your parents abandoned you guys and said, "Here you go, champ.
Yeah.
Time to grow up."
I hate that they make you pick it up every month, too.
These people suck. I would just, because it's illegal, I would barge in to be like, "Hey, where's your wife? Or where's your partner? Where's your new kids? Hey, you know what he did to me?"
No, you don't even need to do that. They suck. They know that they suck.
We have some top/relevant comments. User Moonlight Tracer says, "The only way is to just continue being an awesome brother. Maybe consider seeing a family therapist together." On a completely unrelated note, are the payments court ordered? If not, you should consider seeking legal advice to make sure you're getting the most amount. Also, maybe stop physically seeing them and figure out a different way to get the money. Lucy NJ 1990 says, "Kudos for you for being an amazing big brother. I would make sure that she knows that you are there for her 100% and that you are never going anywhere. Cut off contact with your parents except for monthly checks. Maybe get her into therapy. There may be some issues that you cannot resolve." Another commenter says, "Tell them the amount on the checks is no longer enough. Tell them she needs therapy due to their emotional distance and to add an additional $800 per month. Otherwise, you'll take them to court for child support and get 20% of their total income. Unless they're already giving you more than that. I don't know. They can go to jail in most places for not paying." Another user says, "My heart breaks for your sister. I'm sorry. Keep reassuring her. Poor girl needs therapy. My ex abandoned us. My girl received a couple years of therapy. What helped her the most was hearing from another adult that their dad was flat out wrong. No reasons, no excuse, just wrong. And that is okay and healthy to be angry with that. And there is an update. So, besides reassuring her verbally continuously, making sure we do a lot of things together, and being a good brother, I needed to get her into therapy, and I found the right therapist for her. She's a psychologist who specializes in children's issues after divorce. The only problem was money. I called both my parents and told them that I need to talk to them separately and told them that we need more money as she needs to get therapy and I want to do nice things for her. And that's the least they owe us after everything. They were hesitant, but eventually agreed. I'm now getting $500 more each month from my mother and $750 more from my father, and that is a real help. When we have extra money from what my parents give us, I put it in a college fund for her, and this extra money means that not only she can see a great therapist, but now I can save more for her. I also talked to a lawyer, as a lot of you suggested, to make sure we're getting the right amount of money, and it seems that we do. Of course, we would go on and get them to court and make everything happen through the legal system, but that has the risk of them choosing to end my guardianship and get my sister back, which is not the right thing for her. She's much safer and better off here than in their own hands. Obviously, the option is on the table if they decide to stop paying or reduce the amount. And a couple of you suggested we do something symbolic, which I liked a lot. So I bought 2 matching necklaces and had them engrave our names on them and told my sister that we're going to wear these to remind ourselves that each of us will always be there for the other and that we can count on each other. We've already been to 2 sessions of therapy and I think things are good. The necklace has worked and she doesn't even want to take it off when she takes a shower. We have some more relevant comments.
I don't really have anything else to add. You have a great head on your shoulders. You seem to know exactly what to do. You took all the good advice from those comments. I think you're doing wonderful. Don't ever be too hard on yourself because you really crushed it in stepping up and being there for your sister.
Yeah. And OP, you've been doing so much for your sister. I think you deserve a day too for yourself. I know you've been doing things for her, with her, which is great, but don't forget about yourself as well. You know, it's okay. You pretty much became a parental role when you never asked for it. It's crazy. So just pat yourself on the back and know that you deserve a good day as well. And we have some comments. User deleted says, as a former ward, make future plans with her, like community events, concerts, trips, the zoo, etc. The college fund is indicative of a stable future for her, and that must mean a lot to her. But some short-term things are cool too, like tickets to see a movie or whatever, or discuss when a new one is coming out and how it'd be cool to go see it together, or video games, and release dates for DVDs. Get a big calendar and write your plans on it. This kind of stuff is small, but very powerful. That doesn't mean just that you won't bail on her, but also that you're sticking around because you want to, and that you like hanging out with her, not just taking her in and out of a sense of obligation. Kids always know more of what's going on than adults give them credit for. Be straight with her always. Best of luck to you guys. Another user says, you know, I can understand if you just flat out can't be a parent and just need to disengage. I don't like it, but I get it. But when you just ditch your family so you can start a new family, trade in your old kids for new ones, I treated my Mass Effect save file with more respect than that. Your parents need to be marched through the city, carry large signs saying what they've done, while being booed at. You're a great guy. Keep looking out for your sister. It's better than to have one person who cares for you than a huge bio clan who are neglectful and harmful. I'm not a lawyer, but when she is older, A, her testimony saying she wishes to stay with you, and B, their total abandonment for years should protect you from that. Still, family courts in the USA are a total crap show. I've seen cases where they leave the kids with a or take them away from the caring parents to go live with Child Protection Services minimum standards for care would be too low for prison. Better to be avoided. That is the end of that story. And you better not avoid us, because you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this one. Just go to your favorite podcast app, such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and search up OK Storytime. We have about, I think we're reaching 80 days now, or really close to it, and it's still growing. Check us out there. Find out for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not up to speed on knowing what the court stuff would look like, but I think that's a very good comment to know about, and know that sometimes it could end up that they're not going to do what everyone obviously knows is the right thing. So, which you also seem to know, like, of the worry that maybe they'd take custody back of your sister. So I still think it sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders, though. You've taken the advice you need to. Yeah,
I just feel like you're giving her the best you can, which, again, good for you. Kudos to you. I mean, there are people out there who would just give up, but you really are pushing yourself. And if you are hearing this, I feel like everyone is rooting for you and wants the best for you and your sister. So keep trucking along, OP. You are a great person. Your family sucks. Honestly, they're not even your family, because your family wouldn't do that to you. But yeah, the internet's there for you. They got you, but keep doing what's best for you and your sister.
And that's the end of that story, but we got another one. I told my family I don't care about them, and it made them furious.
Honesty is the best policy.
I, 20 male, live partially with my mother, 57 female, and father, 45 male. And my twin brother, also 20 male, in a gated neighborhood. I live in another city most of the time for school, being the first one in my immediate family to go to university. I'm naturally their pride and joy, only coming back on weekends to see my pets and take a break from my studies. By the way, this comes from True Throw, and if you want us to make your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. We don't get to interact much, and they all miss me when I'm gone, especially my brother, who considers me like his better half, which feels pretty nice to hear. Despite our rocky relationship, he's still a part of my life, and I can't imagine going a day without his soothing presence. He grounds me in a way I can't quite describe. Despite how close we may appear, I don't think I can say I care about him. I don't hate him, but I can't really say how I feel about him either. It doesn't bother me. I like myself well enough, and it didn't bother me because he didn't know. The moment everything fell apart was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It was during a 3-week break I had from school due to an outbreak of scabies.
Oh boy.
I didn't want to stay there being at risk of catching it, so I called up my mom to come pick me up as my car was a wreck after a messy accident. While I don't feel much for her either, I do appreciate her for what she does for me, but I don't like talking to her much. I rarely strike up a conversation. More often than not, I just put one of my earbuds on and listen to music while responding with basic answers so she doesn't think I'm ignoring her. That fateful day where everything fell apart was a Wednesday night. My brother and I had this little ritual when we were teens of hanging out on the roof, just drinking, laughing, watching the night sky, and overall having a good time. During those nights, he'd talk about his work week, recent outings, and hookups, joking about how we could both rock some serious women if we went out together. I would talk about my recent flings and failed flirtings with women at the bar, just pulling each other's leg. But this night was really different. As we both drank our adult beverages, he started to pour his heart out about our mother's behavior when I was away. He and her always had a complicated relationship. After complaining about her, he started to say things about family and how it was the most important thing for someone to have. I'll always remember this as the moment things went down the drain. Despite everything she does to me, despite how she makes me feel or how she makes you feel, she's still my mother and I love her so much, just like you. You only got one family after all, and I would literally pass away for her, especially for you, OP, he said as he patted my back, his teary eyes glistening in the moonlight. I seconded his thoughts with my own. I'll drink to that, like I've always been doing when he brings a subject I have no answer to. But he got curious about my point of view, as I almost never share any real personal information. I'd usually tell him off, changing subjects to my latest relationship, crash, or embarrassing flirt. Anything to not talk about my thoughts and opinions. But for some reason, he kept pressing on, reassuring me that since he tells me everything, he'd love for me to do the same because we're brothers. I had no reason to be worried. He would understand. So after taking another sip of my adult beverage, I started to spill the beans about me, the real me. As corny as that sounds. I told him that family didn't hold that much weight, or even relevance to me as it does for him. Blood doesn't really mean anything to me. Whether we've known each other since we were kids, or we're distant cousins I barely see, it's all the same to me. Nothing that noteworthy. He was shocked, to say the least. He started asking me hypotheticals about my reaction to awful family situations, like mom being hospitalized, him being caught in a fire, or going to prison. Despite what he wanted me to say, I told him the truth. I told him I've been apathetic to their existence for a while now, even for a better part of my life. Honestly, I don't hate them, don't get me wrong, but I just couldn't bring myself to have any real feeling towards them, or anyone in my family for that matter. He stayed quiet for a while, sipping on his maybe 5th bottle while I did the same. Neither of us dared to break the silence for a solid minute. But after a cow wandered into our neighborhood, we started to crack jokes again.
A cow wandered into your neighbor? Where do you live?
For a while, I heard nothing of it. I'd go to school, sometimes to parties, and then come home for a couple of weeks. Since I had my car once again, I could lay off my mom for the travels. Everything was going pretty good until about 2 months later. At about 1 p.m., I got a message from my mom saying she needed me home because she had to talk to me about something important. Of course, I had my classes, so I asked if it could wait until tomorrow. But she said she needed me to come right now. So I went to my teachers, informing them I was going to be absent for a big part of the day. Then I got in my car and drove back to my little neighborhood. As soon as I approached the door, I could hear muffled words, clearly some of them being my name. Once I entered, the chatter stopped. As I made my way and looked around the living room, I could see many people from my entourage. My mom, dad, sister, grandma, cousins, and my aunt. It was pretty surreal to see. At first, I thought someone had passed away, and they felt the need to inform me. My mother then spoke. OP, we need to talk. I could hear that familiar tone in her voice, that tone of misery and blame she used whenever we were kids, and she wanted us to feel bad for her, but also wanted us to know she wasn't mad. It's hard to describe. I asked what was going on, and she was quick to answer, "We were informed of a little problem you recently revealed to your brother. We just want to talk," she said, holding her head down. I could almost see her holding back tears. I said, sure, not knowing what to expect. One by one, they all started giving speeches about the hardships of family drama, keeping your close ones with you through thick and thin, how I shouldn't stay secluded, and let me help them, whatever that means. My brother was the last one to speak. While he had no bad intentions, his speech went from sad to frustration, as he felt I had lied to him. We've been together as brothers for all our lives. We've shared so much together, so much hardship and adventures, so many highs and lows. And you're telling me, OP, that all of this, the laughs, the tears, the anger, the thrills we lived, that all of that was a lie? Nothing we lived was real, just made up crap you did to seem normal, so you could fool us into thinking you care. That this is all too familiar aggression, and his voice said it all. He wanted me to be honest. He wanted straight answers. I could see him watching me, trying to see a reaction, any reaction from me. But his words just sat with me, slowly coming to the reality that his words had no real meaning to me. I finally spoke after a quiet minute. I told them that while I appreciate the sentiment of them organizing this little reunion because they worry about me, it's really not necessary because there was nothing to discuss. My grandma then chimed in, saying this was something we should all discuss. My sister seconded the motion. She said, "If you just talk to us about your struggles, we can help you, buddy." She claimed she knew a good camp where we could go to for the summer and just talk things out. The whole time, I was just staring at my mom, who was just silently sniffling, studying her features like I was only now seeing her for the first time. She then spoke up again with a much quieter voice. "Do you hate us this much?" I will admit this caught me off guard. I didn't really know what to respond, but I was already in too deep. So I just answered honestly, and my voice a bit colder than I wanted it to be. "I don't care that much about you." The room fell so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. After saying that, I quickly started turning back, walking through the hall to the door until I heard my mom bursting into tears as I left the living room and down the entry hall. I grabbed the door handle, but I stopped for a second, hearing her say, "How could someone so psychotic be my son?" I'd love to say that words hit me hard, that they hit me like the old 1-2 to the gut, that I threw myself into my schoolwork to get my mind off things, that I ran back to the living room crying my eyes out, going on my knees and begging my mom for forgiveness, that I crashed out and cut contact. But I didn't. I just got out to my car and drove back to my little apartment I used for school. It wasn't long before the messages and calls started pouring in, all variations of them calling me heartless and cruel for saying that and making our mother cry. What I used earlier was the wrong term that I was going for.
Okay.
And I cannot remember the right one right now, and I'm going to search it in a second. Okay. But basically, people who don't feel any emotion or care for anybody. Probably it's a thing. He probably has it.
It's not psychotic.
It might be psychopath. I'm double checking before I throw words around.
The fact that none of those affected you, OP, I feel like this being sprung upon you was a lot as well. So I can see where you're like, this is way too much. I feel like your brother should have had a full-on conversation with you about it before any of this, but it does seem like, I don't know, you kind of just took it and you're like, okay, that's just a normal day. I'm not affected by this. I'm going to go straight back to school and just live my life. Like, this is my family, but I don't care for them.
So, yes, I was off with the self-absorbed person one. It is either a psycho or socio path. The only thing that he's not showing is like the manipulative. Well, he is by lying the whole time and knowing that he didn't really like the deceit, quote unquote deceit
So just
of,
like, oh, you
of
know,
saying that he did feel it and going
so he
on
doesn't
with it.
have to encounter this.
Right. That would be
situation.
what continued to classify him as one. So he probably is. And if it is diagnosed, is something that's fairly common, actually. Telling me to come back so we could talk properly like adults when all I did was tell the truth. I'm not looking for any advice or resolutions. I'm just trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened these past 2.5 months. I don't necessarily believe I was wrong for what I said because they asked me to say the truth, and I did just that. Update 6 months later. I wasn't going to make an update because I didn't really see a point to it, but it's been recommended to me by the therapist I saw to write out past events. Might help me to rationalize everything or something. 6 months has passed since this whole thing with my mom, and a bit has happened since then. I've had to block a lot of my family's numbers and left the family group chat sometime after my post. I didn't want to, but I had no choice because of the months and months of never-ending flood of messages and calls from them calling me different variants of evil. My cousin was more or less understanding about my feelings since she works in psychology, so she's unblocked, but we already don't talk much, so it didn't change much. My father also remains unblocked. He sent me a single long message after this whole mess, telling me that while he doesn't fully get what I meant, and probably never will, I'm still his son and he loves me just the same as before, even if I don't love him back, and he's willing to give me my space to think. Which, I'll admit, made my throat close up a bit. I may not care for him like he does for me, but he's still my father, and I have immense respect for him. This man was here for every milestone of my life, despite working until dark every day. He always tried to make time for me and my brother when we were little, did his best to be present for every birthday, Christmas, and Thanksgiving, every summer camping trip, every elementary school play. He was there when my first girlfriend dumped me. Even when I told him I didn't feel much for her, he insisted on taking me and my brother to the mountains to clear my head with trusted family and use that time to bond with us because he felt absent from a lot of our life. He was cheering for me at my high school basketball games and graduation. I didn't respond. I couldn't bring myself to do it. It would feel a bit unfair to him if I started saying that I do love him because I know he wouldn't believe it. He's smart enough to know that. But he has remained unblocked. The others, on the other hand, my grandma and sister, wouldn't stop sending me these almost threatening messages and voicemails, which were all variations about how they can't believe I did this. I will regret treating them like dirt. Real family care for each other. She'll get back at me for hurting her daughter. My mom deserves a better son than me. I'm tearing this family apart.
And OP just looks at it and says, all right.
My mom would call me over and over, always leaving minute-long crying voicemails asking me what she did wrong to make me like this, to please come back, to come see her fix things, telling me she misses me dearly, how she wishes she could turn back in time and make things right, to just talk to her. But she wouldn't let me talk when I did answer her calls. She'd just start talking incoherently through tears, or my grandma would use her number to insult me. So I blocked her, at least until she pulls herself back together so we can really talk. My brother was the most surprising of them because he was completely silent through the whole ordeal. No calls, emails, or visits to confront me. I didn't expect that given his temper. Like him coming to my place to drag me outside just to fight, but there's been nothing. My aunt, out of all the people that were at the intervention, was the most understanding. She's the only one I kept any sort of consistent contact with. Instead of trying to guilt me for my feelings or lack thereof, she actually wanted to talk to me alone about the whole thing. I was a bit on the fence, thinking it was another intervention ploy, as she called it. But I was pleasantly surprised when it really was just me and her. We sat down and started some small talk. I don't see her often, so it was nice to catch up. After that, we actually started the serious talk. She asked what the whole ordeal was about because, of course, my brother didn't tell her everything I said. So I had to tell her the truth. My aunt stayed quiet for a bit before putting a hand on my shoulder and telling me I had done nothing wrong and had no reason to feel guilty or anything. Even if she didn't quite get how I felt, she always understood me more than the others. She said she had my back, and I was always welcome in her home. We spent the rest of the day talking about schoolwork and life in the city. It was a good distraction from everything. At the start of August, after a bit of consideration and discussion with my friends, they recommended I go see a therapist. They don't know the full story and just know me and my family are not on speaking terms right now. Normally, I'd give a vague reason as to why I didn't want to, Most of the time, I'd call it a scam for people who are just soft, when in reality, I just don't want to spend that much out of my wallet. But with this whole mess happening, I thought it was worth trying. If anything, just to see why I felt this way about my family. So I booked a session. I was kind of nervous since I never went inside a therapist's office before. Her office was very clean, very organized. It felt calming, more at ease, almost peaceful. We started our session and already hit a wall because I couldn't stop masking, as she called it. I was a bit hesitant not to mask at first, since in the past I've been often chastised by others for not feeling like others. It lasted for about 20 minutes before we started talking about my family and the root of our distance. I told her the truth. I saw no point in hiding anything from her. We talked about my relationship with my family the entire session, but nothing substantial came out of it. She kept asking if at any point in my life I could feel something stronger than pleasantries towards past lovers or relatives, and I kept telling her the same thing. I tried, but I couldn't do it. Every time she seemed almost disappointed by my answers, but she didn't comment or anything, just took notes and moved on to other questions regarding past behaviors. By the way, regarding full episodes, you can listen to them with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. There's going to be a ton of full episodes with tons of stories.
Oh, yes. That's good on OP to come to fruition of why is this happening? Why I have these emotions when it comes to just any strong bonds, which is good. Good for you seeing a therapist. I think it's the thing of you can't change the way people are, or how they behave, or how they feel. If that's how they feel, you know, that's one thing. So I can totally understand OP on that. Again, I think the way that some of your family members do understand, not necessarily completely, but they're like, that's just how he is. And you know what? I have to respect that.
Yeah, I don't think that you should have to change or anything. I think that going to therapy is a good thing for him to, one, maybe get a name to why he feels like this, and a way for him to be like, and this is the reason why, it's not in my head that I can't make myself have these feelings. There's been something behind it, and as he's already learning how to unmask a little bit.
Yeah, and I think he can't even explain it. He's just that's how I feel.
Which can make you feel just like you're going a little nuts because you don't know why you can't do what other people seem to be so easily able to do.
Or to feel, or how to respond.
So just having that is sometimes such a relief for a person. And I think
now coming to this, where we're at in the story, I don't think anyone here is really an a-hole.
Once it was over, I asked her if she could tell me what I had, but she said it isn't my area of expertise. Though she did recommend me go see a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist for a proper diagnosis if I wanted. Or I could write out my thoughts as a way to externalize it and see it from another viewpoint. So now I'm writing this post while waiting for my appointment next month. Scratch that, my brother came here like an hour ago banging on the door and screaming, trying to get me outside to talk, but I know he wants us to fight. I guess what I said really hit a nerve with him. He almost broke my window throwing rocks at it, calling me a chicken crap coward for running away while our mom is a mess. I could hear through his insults that he was on the verge of tears, really angry tears. After a while, he just left. But I don't think I'll be going outside anytime soon, just in case. I'll put a word in with my professors that I won't be present for a couple of days. I think I'm shaking a bit. That is a lot, OP.
Yeah.
All around. So I hope that your next appointment goes really well and that you can get some answers that you're looking for.
I think you should also relay this to one of the family members that you're close to. Your dad, probably your dad or your aunt that you still talk to and that aren't blocked, and they still kind of try to see your perspective. He's like, hey, let everyone know in the family, I'm trying to figure this out. You don't even need to apologize kind of in a sense right now, but just I'm trying to figure this out. Please let me do it on my own accord. And then if everyone's civil, we can do this like adults once I figure it out, because this is what I've been used to. This is how my brain has been processing things my entire life. And I just kind of recently discovered this where I'm like, maybe this isn't right, or something, maybe there is a reason for this, or there is a cause. Can you guys respect that? Thanks. At the end of the day, I don't think anyone here is really the a-hole.
I think I've said all my thoughts. I'd just be repeating things at this point, but good luck, OP.
Good luck, OP. Hopefully you can discover more about yourself and repair those bonds if you really want to. Again, just now catching to the beginning of the story where he's like, I fail at flirting with women.
I know I said that.
It's just it's all putting it all together now. So, but speaking of putting it all together, we're at the end of it. We put it all together for you, and now we're done. That's the end of that story and the end of this episode.